resources, a community to build your projects. So, welcome to our short event. And here are just some house rules that we'll observe for tonight. So let me just run through them very quickly. So if you can, it's not required naman, but I guess it's gonna make our session more interactive and fun if we will turn on our cameras, our videos, para mas maging familiar tayo sa isa't isa. And then at the same time, since this is a project presentation, we advise everyone to please turn off their mics while someone is talking, and then we'll acknowledge you naman in case you want to speak up. And then don't be shy to ask your question. So if there's something that you want to ask, kindly raise your hand. So there's a raise your hand function here in Zoom, and then wait for your name to be acknowledged before unmuting. And then of course we encourage everyone to participate. This is a safe space for all, and let this be a community where we can have an exchange of ideas. And lastly, of course, let's all have fun. Yeah, and I hope that's clear. And siguro right now, I just wanna have a gauge no on why you decided to join tonight's event. So please react based on your reason, okay? So dun tayo sa mga una. Give me a clap react if you're really interested to hear about data projects. Yes, yes. Okay, there's two. Four. Yan. Pwede na, ano naman siya, di naman siya mutually exclusive, okay? So it could be a number of reasons. What about those who want to build their own projects? Yes. Okay, I think that there's a lot of you here now who want to know how to start with your own. So we hope that that's something that you'll learn tonight. And then Heart Reacts naman, if you're interested about Escolabs, okay? Maybe you've come across some of our posts or a colleague has told you about Escolabs. Yan. Or maybe tonight you're just bored. Meron ba sa inyong bored na you decided to join? Wala pa ako nakita naghahaha. Parang interesting naman. Si Clifford Las Moras. Okay, that's good. And lastly, of course, I'm just generally curious. So whatever your reason is, it's nice that we have come together tonight to learn about, some data projects. But before that, let's just have a quick icebreaker. So please type in your answers sa chat na lang. And then for those who have already seen this question, let's observe yung madlang people, okay? So number one, which of the following is not an LLM? So LLMs are large language models like ChatGPT, etc. So among these four, which is not an LLM? Okay, so it's not it's not vindicative or you're not gonna be implicated or whatsoever. So try to guess lang. Is it Roberta, Emblem, Llama, or Falcon? So which one is not an LLM? Okay, come on guys. Kahit sa ano lang, sa chat box natin. So which do you think? Okay, Roberta, parang pangalan ng teleserye, no? Okay, what about the others? Okay, what about the others? Mm-hmm. Okay, Roberta, Falcon, Bert. Yeah, actually yung sagot ni AD na si Bert. Actually si Bert, that's a real LLM. Yeah. Okay, sige, i-reveal ko na ang sagot. So actually, uh, ang imposter among us I see, drum roll please, Emblem. So it sounds legit, right? Pero si Emblem, it's it doesn't exist unless one of you want to develop one in the future. So maybe we can design that together in Escolabs or even somewhere outside of the company. Okay, let's have another question here. Okay, so when was ChatGPT officially launched? So it's clear na 2022 siya ni-release, but yung official niya, the debut. Okay, when's the debut of ChatGPT? Okay, September, November. Yan, medyo close yung answers, no? Okay, so actually, okay, may hahabol pa ba? Okay, last call. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So actually, ChatGPT was officially launched in November of 2022. Pero there are some people who had access to it na no September pa lang dahil siguro may exclusive access to it sila to it dahil parang pilot testing or whatsoever. But November 2022. Correct me na lang if I'm wrong, pero I consulted with search engine. Okay, and last one. So which of the images is not generated? Okay, not generated by AI. So yung iba dyan, pop culture reference if you recognize it. So you can just put 1, 2, 3, or 4 respectively. So which one is not generated by AI? Okay, 1. Ezekiel. Okay, 4. Is it a consensus na 4? Okay, what about the others? Oh, what do you think is not, okay, not generated by AI? 1, 2, none. Okay. None of the above. Baka trick question nga to, no? Sige. But actually, the answer is number 2. Okay, so number 2, it's a real painting. And yung third photo here, inspiration niya, itong number 2. Oh yeah, number 3 has weird hands. I didn't see that one. So this is the artist. Okay, so thank you so much everyone for participating in that quick icebreaker. I hope you enjoyed it. And now we're gonna move on to, the most important segment of our, event, which is the sharing of projects. Okay, so for tonight, just to give you a preview, we're gonna have two presentations of projects. So one is going to be a data analytics project, and then the other one is more on data science. So for the first project, here's the nature of the data set. It's about e-commerce. And then here are just some of the tools that they use to come up with their presentation and their output. So I hope some of you are familiar with these tools. So we have SQL, that's for data exploration. Then for data visualization, they use Power BI and Google Looker Studio. And of course, last one for dashboarding is Looker Studio. Okay, so this is prepared by Joaquin de Marceda, Mac Christian Manuel, Judith Ann Lanting, Edward Tienzo, Mary Rose Bernabe, and Peter Paul Riabe. Okay, so I would like to call on the following people to start with their presentation. Okay, so you can take over screen sharing. And whenever you're ready, you can start. So everyone, let's give them a round of applause and a big cheer.
Okay, so let's start. Hello everyone, we are Data Rockets from DABC13. We are here to present our thought process when we made our final project for the data analytics bootcamp. Just a brief overview of our project. We are to give our analysis and recommendations for a fictional e-commerce company named Esque Gifts. This company sells customized gifts via online. All of the groups in DABC13 were given the same data set to study. The difference is we were divided into three lenses: commercial, marketing, and operations. We were assigned the commercial perspective. Now, moving forward to the methodology. Here is our data analysis process. 1 and 2 are focused in learning about the company, how it operates, its goals and challenges. It is the background of the company. 3 is collecting and preparing the dataset for analysis. 4 is very important. It is the EDA of the dataset. It involves determining the relevant columns and interconnectedness of each table. Here we find the trends, get a better understanding of the state of the company via data. 5 is visualization and storytelling. Here, each of us made visualizations and shared our findings. Despite coming up with a myriad of findings, we had to choose only the ones that fit our narrative inside our frame. Lastly, we made an interactive dashboard to communicate our findings. Next, here are the tools we used. We used SQL for via Google BigQuery for data cleaning and initial analysis of the dataset. For visualizations, we utilized Power BI and Google Looker Studio. Lastly, for the interactive dashboard, again, we used Looker Studio. We were given the background that Square is losing money and some other info such as service level agreements stating that late orders will be given 50% refund. We were also given other information that helped us draft our business model canvas. Here is the business model canvas our group made. This is the very first thing we did in order to have context of the company. Now, with the methodology out of the way, let's head to the dataset. The dataset was shared to us via Google BigQuery. It contains 4 tables. One of our first tasks was to study this dataset and understand it, and for us to acknowledge that the company is losing money. The item info table contains all 1001 products. It indicates the price and the cost of goods sold. The order table lists all 340,000 transactions and details of each order. It covers the period from January 2022 to December 2023. The user list table contains all of the users in those 2 years. The voucher list contains the types and amounts of the vouchers. Now, let's start discussing our findings. Our EDA suggests that Square experienced a notable decrease in sales between 2022 and 2023, representing a decrease of 33% of its revenues, declining from 184 million pesos to 122 million pesos, having a difference of 61.6 million pesos. Here we state our team's objective, which is to help Square in optimizing its revenue generation. As mentioned earlier, our group is focused on the commercial lens of the business. As we investigate the sales decline, our team is utilizing vital metrics such as pricing analysis, order analysis, and location analysis. Here we emphasize that although these metrics may overlap with functions such as marketing and operations, our central aim remains clear: improving sales within the commercial department. Let's start with the pricing. In this slide, we establish the max, average, and mean of the selling price. We utilize SQL code to do this. We found out that the distribution is even. We did the same with the cost of goods sold, again, evenly distributed. This pricing slide establishes that all of the products have good markup. Lowest markup is at 25% at 54 pesos. Please take note of this one as we will reference this soon. Minimum markup of 25% at 54 pesos. Seeing all of the items are properly marked up, we recommend that the pricing be maintained. More importantly, increasing the pricing might lead to further loss in clients and sales. While markups are acceptable, our team found a pricing oversight with the vouchers. The company releases 2 types of vouchers. The first is a 50 peso voucher for payday sale. Next is the 100 peso voucher for the double day sale. The double day 100 peso voucher, when applied to products with less than 100 peso markup, results to net loss. As you can see, Square has accumulated a total loss of 254,000 due to this oversight. On the other hand, the payday 50 peso voucher is safe because the minimum markup of the products is 54 pesos, as shown on the previous slide. Thus, the 54 peso voucher will always result to net income. We used the waterfall bar chart to highlight the total losses per quarter. Digging further, the voucher scheme is unorthodox. Square follows a voucher scheme wherein vouchers are dispensed according to item quantity rather than one voucher per transaction. For example, if an order has 7 units, the voucher will be multiplied by 7. This scheme resulted to 4.8 million pesos worth of excess discounts, which could have been converted to revenue if only the company followed a traditional scheme of one voucher only per transaction. Thus, we have 2 recommendations for handling vouchers under the commercial standpoint. For ACA 1, we recommend a traditional approach to dispensing vouchers only once per transaction. We also recommend that the double day voucher be applied to selected products with markups above 100 pesos. For ACA 2, we acknowledge the idea that this different voucher scheme may be the driving force behind the high volume sales during promo days. Thus, we maintain the original scheme, but for double day only, to differentiate it from payday. Then reduce the 100 peso voucher to 50 pesos only to avoid margins, negative margins and to lessen revenue loss.
During our boot camp, specifically on Sprint 3, Day 17, we were taught to use the five whys framework. And after identifying a well marked up products and a costly voucher system in our pricing analysis discussed a while ago, we thought it was not enough to such decline in sales. So we asked why. So we sought to explore additional factors impacting SQGIF's sales decline and look into the order analysis. In terms of sales versus orders, we can see that a sales and order share the same trend from 2022 to 2023, with a 33% decline in both sales and order. We use a simple combo chart to represent this analysis, the bar chart representing sales, while the line represents orders. Looking into daily sales and orders, we see that the recorded highest sales and orders is during the promo days. During these days, the voucher are offered. Again, despite the orders and sales generated by the voucher, there are also some losses, but 2% is so small to be impactful enough. So we look into SLAs, specifically the late SLA orders. We found out that 1/3 of the total order sales are late. This stock bar chart shows the percentage of orders that did not meet SLA, and it is a significant amount. Moreover, with the help of SQL query, we managed to compute the sales would increase by 18% if there are no late orders. To have figurative comparison, we added a hypothetical order amount column that represents an amount that should have gotten if there are no late orders. So upon revisiting the current SLA system implemented by the company, we came up with the following recommendations. Adjust SLA lead times, specifically during peak season. As for the exact days to be added, it needs further study by operations as we only focuses on its commercial lens. Next is to revise refund policy to 25% rather than 50%, thereby eliminating negative margins. As you can see below, we added a graph using SQL query again to demonstrate a comparative figure between our suggested revision. So as we delve into SQGIF's SLA inefficiency, we recognize the potential significance of regional insights. This led us to conduct a detailed location analysis to understand regional sales dynamics and impact of SLA-related delays. Leveraging SQL by Google BigQuery, again, we filtered and organized the data to create tables that allowed us better navigate regional figures, including overall sales in peso and in volume, and to quantify and calculate impact of unmet SLA, which constituted a significant portion of refunds. Our analysis revealed that approximately 20% of SQGIF's overall sales in peso, amounting to approximately 24 million pesos, were affected by SLA-related delays. Moreover, around 35% of total orders were impacted by these delays, indicating a substantial portion of SQGIF's operations were affected. To visually represent these findings, we utilize Power BI and Looker Studio to create appealing visuals, using color scheme in the family of red to underscore the severe impact of these inefficiencies on the company's bottom line. In addition, we found out that even those within SLA per location also contribute to the sales loss, because there are items that when you apply the vouchers aside from the cost of goods sold, it gets a negative sales. As we can see, Metro Manila had the highest volume, in which accounts for 68%. This means that Metro Manila had the highest order volume and at the same time, items with negative sales are attracted more within the region, as we use simple bar chart with figures above to represent this analysis. So to further conclude our analysis, we came up with these recommendations. Although these recommendations may not be possible for the current situation of the company, it is still good opportunity for a feasibility study if the cost will benefit the overall well-being of the company. With all those information we shared, it may be overwhelming at some points. That's why we added this section to wrap up our study and unravel each analysis impact to the company. Given the constraints of data availability for forecasting numerical outcomes and absence of supplementary resources to make hypothetical or educated assumptions, our team opted to fortify the recommendation with an assessment of the cost impact they would have mitigated or reduced had the challenge been addressed differently. So here are the impacts of recommendations suggested by our team. As for the vouchers, mitigate negative net sales with an aggregate amount of 254,000. Second would be to seize opportunity with an aggregate amount of 4.8 million pesos. Next would be on the order analysis, revised refund policy of 25% to 50%. Next, will diminish an opportunity cost with an aggregate amount of 27 million pesos. And lastly, location analysis. For the proposal, it will alleviate the cost of 40% of Mindanao and Visayas past SLA cost and decrease opportunity cost with an aggregate amount of 4 million for Visayas and 7.3 million for Mindanao. Next. So, to ensure the ongoing process of monitoring our recommended strategies and identification of operational inefficiency, our team have developed a dynamic dashboard. This tool empowers management with real-time insights to make flexible and informed decisions as we move forward.
Okay. Throughout the bootcamp, in addition to crafting our presentation, we were assigned the task of developing a dashboard. However, to accomplish this, our initial step was to draft a wireframe, which served as our roadmap for creating the dashboard. Our wireframe is comprised of three main sections. Firstly, there was the pricing page detailing the current price, item price, COGS, markup price, and chart illustrating total losses. Following that was the orders page, which showcased sales and order sales. Notably, instead of incorporating our charts, we opted for textual representation in this wireframe as it was primarily meant as a guide. Lastly, the location page aimed to display the percentage of the orders past SLA in various regions, including Metro Manila, Luzon, Visayas, and Mindanao. However, as we delve into designing the dashboard, we deliberated on accentuating our key points. With this objective in mind, we reorganized our charts and cards to present a more cohesive narrative. Let me present to you our dashboard. Can you see it now? Here is our finalized dashboard presentation. Our primary aim was to provide our audience with a quick snapshot of company status upon their first glance at the dashboard. This led us to prominently feature key metrics such as sales amount. Here's sales amount. Here's the first page of our dashboard. Here is sales amount, volume, and voucher usage, and orders past SLA. Placing sales data in the top left corner was deliberate, as most individuals read from left to right, top to bottom, thus giving precedence to sales figures. We also integrated filters to allow users to engage with with the dashboard effectively. Additionally, the dashboard displays the date of its last update. Uh, the other two pages are designed to offer deeper insights into the company's operation. The pricing page presents current item prices, COGS, and markup. Once again, revenue after voucher deductions is highlighted in the top left corner for emphasis. Filters for voucher type, uh, computed income loss, and date range have been incorporated. Lastly, the location page. Uh, this provides an overview of orders per area and associated costs due to orders past SLA. Filters by area and date have been included for users' convenience. Here. Furthermore, we've included buttons for resetting filters, generating reports, and a link back to the earlier presentation. That wraps up our presentation, and thank you for your attention.
Okay, thank you so much, Joaquin, Mac, and Mary for sharing your project with us. And I think everyone learned a lot from the presentation that you did. So now we're opening up the floor for some questions. So I think um, some of you might just be listening and trying to digest all of that, right? So yeah, okay, we're opening up the floor for some questions. And while some of you are still trying to think of what to come up with, maybe I can start with the question muna. So, di ba, as a data analyst, no, you built this dashboard. And I would suppose na for the dashboard that you're going to create, it's gonna depend upon the person, you're gonna present to. So, this kind of dashboard that you have, parang sino yung audience that is best presented with this kind of dashboard?
Our intended audience for this dashboard is the decision makers in the company, like top management, because they have the power to implement these recommendations and solve these problems.
Okay, thank you so much, Mac. Okay. What about people from our audience? Do you have any questions, for example, on how they, made this dashboard or how they started with the wireframe? Okay. Do you have any questions kahit sa ano, kahit sa ating chat function? Okay, Japet, go ahead.
Hello, yes, it's nice to see you again. So I just have one very simple question. So prior to you being able to create this wonderful dashboard, did you have any prior experience or did you have somehow any foundation? And if none, how did you feel when you finally got to learn how to create a wonderful dashboard?
I think Sprint One gave us an idea using Power BI into creating this dashboard. Although Google Looker Studio has a different interface, but I think the skill from Power BI is quite transferable into making this dashboard. So all of it are covered in Sprint 1 and also Sprint 3 for the Looker Studio.
Okay. Sige. Anyone from the audience who have parang some questions, like, siguro you could give us an idea on, you know, uh, like, since this is about sharing about projects and, how to build your portfolio. So, sige, maybe I can ask kayo, Joaquin, Mac, and Mary. So, for example, if you didn't go through, I mean, you already went through the boot camp. So you already have an idea on how to build it. So if ever you're going to start with another project, like let's say, oh, ano, I'm building my portfolio nga, and I want to explore other industries, ganon. So how would you do it? Like, siguro you could give like context on the industry or parang the nature ng ano ng data set that you're gonna work with, and then siguro start parang gives an overview of the steps that you're gonna undertake for such, kahit sa dashboard level lang, and then yung presentation that can come later on. Sige.
Hello.
Hi, go
Hello
Mary.
po. Ako pong sugo ulit. For coming up with another dashboard siguro na project, ang kasi currently ngayon I am planning to to have ano yun? To have a project under Maven's Analytics, if you know yung platform nila. And first na ginagawa ko is yun nga, yung to know kung ano yung subject matter, kung ano yung kailangan nung challenge na yon. And yun dito sa ina-analyze ko po is about sales siya. So yun yung mga factors, ano ba yung kailangan, ayun nga, which is sino yung audience, ano yung problema, and knowing yung data, yung collecting ng data, preparing it, is it clean, or do I have to clean it or clean na siya. Tas siguro most of my time ang nagnanakaw ng oras yung data exploration. Siyempre i-re-relate mo siya per table since new sets of data ulit, and yun. After nun, pag alam mo na and na-understand mo na yung business itself and yung mga factors affecting yung mga dapat ilagay doon sa dashboard, mas madaling ilagay siya or i-visualize siya. So yun. Yun lang.
All right, thank you so much, Mary. So based dun sa sharing ni Mary, so she used Maven Analytics. I think yung Maven Analytics, they provided the data set na din ba?
Yes
Am I
po,
right?
meron po. Opo.
Ayun. So for everyone, I'll put it sa chat. So you could also explore Maven Analytics if you want to, just experiment and you're not sure where to get your data set just yet. So parang they have it all for you. Well, this is not sponsored. And then aside from the tools themselves, so it's one thing to learn about the tools. I mean, sure, you could do visualizations, you could write SQL code or a query. Yeah, you could write a query. Pero I think bulk nga knows, I mean, just like what Mary shared, a big bulk of what takes up her time is understanding the data set. So I guess, with a data analyst, it's more of the mindset then. It's more of the cognitive skills talaga that cannot be taken away from you. So that's something na, I mean, that's something that you can learn definitely. Pero it's something that you need to train talaga. And maybe that's something that AI cannot replace. Yan. So I hope that makes sense for everyone. And yeah, Maven Analytics is a good first step for everyone if you want to start building your own portfolio lang. Yan. What about you, Mac and Joaquin? Do you have anything to share then? Or baka may mga ventures din kayo na ginagawa nyo post-bootcamp?
Yung sa akin ngayon, after the bootcamp, nagtatry ako mag-come up ng unique na dataset. So, nagtatry ako mag-Python na web scraping. So far, yan, web scraping ng prices ng items sa Amazon. Yun pa lang yung tinatry ko so far. So, siguro, after makagawa ng dataset, doon ako mag-come up ng additional dashboard na pang sariling project siguro.
All right. Okay. Thank you so much, Mac. Although Python is not covered pa dun sa data analytics bootcamp, it's good na you were able to do it. Like, that's your self-learned mo na yan. So, kudos. Okay, Ginger.
Hi, I have a question lang. I guess just for context for someone who didn't attend the boot camp, I was part of the group that reviewed with group 2 who just presented, and I've seen how they've grown. Like initially we really had a very well sabog na data and all. And I wanted to ask how you were able to steer it in such a way na sobrang ganda talaga ng presentation. Even our group during the bootcamp, we were really amazed by how by actually your growth. Because initially we were partnered together and um our data and our presentation were very well all over the place, but then you came up with such a good analysis and dashboard and the processes that you did. Siguro it's one thing to understand the business, but it's another thing to actually pick your variables because there are a lot. So maybe you can share kasi overwhelming talaga yung maraming data.
Hello, hello. Ako na. Thank you for commending our growth. Pero siguro po do sa sa madaming query, madaming questions na parang why does this figure resulted this way? Parang more of data exploration talaga yung nangyari and connecting each whys to whys. Parang ganun lang po. Tapos making a story. Ano yung gustong ibigay niyang story? Ano ba yung gusto nito? Parang saan ba nagli-lead yung data? And yung kung ano man story nun, dapat may basis, that may facts na, kaya ganito kasi nga 30% ganito po. Tapos, so sa tingin ko, yun po yung naging reason ba't nagkaroon ng kwento yung data namin. Sa ibang ka-groupmate ko, tama ba?
Yes, I'd also like to add that same as the other groups, we started with plenty of visualizations, plenty of findings all over the place. But I think what helped us the most is really identifying our wireframe. Kasi once you get to see the wireframe, it's just a draft. Once you get to see the wireframe, you get to see what narrative you want for your presentation. In our case, we managed to look into also like the customers segments, whatever, but it's not anymore under the commercial standpoint. So we made it a point to just focus on our assigned lens, which is the commercial standpoint, and from there pattern our wireframe. So yeah, we had a lot of visualization, we had a lot of findings, but we had to really choose and narrow down further to present a more cohesive presentation. Each one of the visualizations are interconnected with our narrative. Thank you.
I agree. And to add siguro, Mentor Bianca really helps us filtered out all the otherwise na hindi helpful. Siguro yun yung pagse-set ng one question na answer siya. Na parang if may maliligaw na ibang question, ma-answer ba niya yung main question? If not, better let go dong question na hindi related. So yun lang. So thank you, Mentor Bianca.
All right. Thank you so much, Data Rockets. So unfortunately, we don't have any more time to entertain other questions, but I hope everyone learned from their sharing. And yeah, let's give them a round of applause. So if ever part of the audience parang you still have some burning questions, then don't worry. You can all connect on LinkedIn. Yeah. So drop your LinkedIn accounts here, Joaquin, Mac, and Mary para yung audience natin, they can, get to know you. All right, thank you so much, everyone. And now I hope you are ready for our second presentation. Okay, so this time around, it's gonna be a data science project. So the nature of the data set is on finance, and here are just some of the tools used by our presenter. So for data cleaning, it's Python, Pandas, NumPy, Seaborn, and Matplotlib. And for data storytelling, it's Streamlit, Scikit-learn, and Canva. So yeah, I wouldn't want to take much more time from you. So Andrea, if you're ready, you can take it away.
Hi guys, I hope you can see me.
Yes.
Okay, let me just share my screen. Okay. And can you guys see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, so hi everybody, good evening. So my name is Andrea, but you guys can call me Dre. So the prompt actually for tonight's presentation was kind of like a sharing session on how we made our data science project. So full disclaimer, hindi lang ako yung gumawa nito. We were an entire team of like around 4 people. Kaso the others are out of town or are busy. So I'll be representing the group tonight. So before I run you through our quick capstone project, basically, I'll give you kind of like the overview of how we did it before we did the presentation, before we did all of the modeling. So there's a lot of like work that goes behind it. So I'll just run you through that. So the first part is actually like a quick how to make your own data project presentation so that you guys can also create data projects to build your portfolio. So a quick table of contents of starting off with like a general overview of the process and how much each phase in the process typically takes up the team's time. Tapos discussions about project scoping, data cleaning, data storytelling, and of course, finally I'll showcase quickly our capstone project. So the first part is kind of like a process overview. So we start really with project scoping, and just a rough estimate, it would take up typically around 20% of the team's time. So what we did for our team, we kind of did like a mini presentation to each other. Kung ano ba yung mga topics that we're interested in. I'll go through like a decision tree later in the next slide for that. But we started off with project scoping, and then we jumped directly to looking at the data, doing some exploratory analysis, and starting out with the cleaning. So that takes up the biggest chunk of time talaga. If it's a month-long project, then data cleaning is like 2 to 2.5 weeks of that. And then we also did data storytelling. So I lumped it as data storytelling, but it's all of the analytics and the piecing together that will make the presentation later. And what I want to highlight lang talaga in this process, it's that it's iterative. It's not linear. So when we did project scoping, meron kaming questions that we wanted to answer. But when we looked at the data, we saw na, hindi pala kaya ng data to answer that question. So there's like a decision of do we drop the entire project or do we pivot, kind of shift our perspective and try to ask a different question that the data could answer. So that kind of looks like, sorry, eto kind of looks like ganito. So the project scoping decision tree for us starts here at the bottom. So what we did first was kind of like a mini presentation that I come from like the finance background. So kaya finance yung project because it was the part of my mini presentation. So we started with questions like, are we curious about anything? And then we also pulled up data sets from somewhere from Kaggle. The data set that I found is scraped from Kiva, but it was already prepared na in an Excel file, so we didn't really have to do a lot of scraping. So once you have something that you're curious about, then you have to ask yourself, is the data available for that curiosity? Kapag hindi, ulit ka. What am I curious about again? You look at other options. Kapag the data is available, then the next question would be, are your curiosities answerable by the data set? Kapag hindi, there's the option actually to kind of divert your perspective, maybe change your problem statement. Baka may ibang questions that like came up when you actually explored the data set that you wanna move to that direction na. If not, then ulit ka agad. Am I curious about something again? And if the data set is able to answer the questions, then you continue on with your analysis. So for project scoping, the common questions, you can think of it as like a research project talaga, like your thesis, your feasibility study. So you always start with the problem statement and you always scope your stakeholders. Kapag personal project kasi, wala siyang parang immediate goal. So you kind of have to define that yourself. But in the context of business and other researches, meron namang problem statement, meron namang goal. So you just have to define the problem statement. And then you have to kind of understand how the team will tackle the problem statement, how the team can break down the problem statement into smaller pieces para you can assign pieces to each other that you can answer. And then also be clear on what the expected final output is.
where the source of the data will be, the issues that you have with the current data set, and the project scope and limitation. You will kind of see all of this later when I present the methodology of the project. But those are just the common questions. Now, this is a data science project, so there are a few technicalities na wala sa the usual research paper. So for us, we also ask the questions like, what problem type are we dealing with? Kasi in data science, a problem can either be a regression problem, a classification, a clustering problem. Marami pang ibang problems, but these are the most common problems. If you join the bootcamp, these are what will be discussed talaga. And then what metric will we use to measure success? So the metrics depend on what kind of project we're going to do. If it's a classification, then we have precision, accuracy, recall, F1, mga ganun. And then we also talked about what the possible issues, parang foresight. Ano ba yung magiging issues that we will have to deal with? Kasi we're not working on supercomputer. So meron talagang computational issues. Meron din mga data quality issues like data types, and then mga null values. And we also thought ahead, paano ba namin i-deal with yung categorical data? Meaning yung data na hindi in numbers. Kasi machine learning models, they only take numerical data. So you will have to figure out a way to convert your categorical data or drop it. Tapos meron ding data size issues which we face in our data set. It was a data set of around 350,000. Originally 2 million. Tapos ginawa namin 300,000 rows na lang. Pero kahit na 300,000, hindi pa din kinaya ng computers namin. So we had to do some kind of dimensionality reduction. So those are the technicalities that you have to deal with a data science project. So the tools that we use, the usual, it was mentioned earlier, so we use mainly Python, and then the following libraries. We use Pandas, NumPy, Matplotlib, Seaborn. That's for data cleaning. And then when we were doing the whole deck, when we were doing the machine learning now, we used scikit-learn, which is the usual parang library for machine learning models. And the final app was deployed on Streamlit, and the deck was created in Canva. So that's basically the whole few steps on how to make a data science project. So I'll skip na. I'll continue now with like discussing the actual project that we did. So good afternoon again, good evening pala. Good evening, everybody, my fellow data analysts, scientists, and enthusiasts. So my name is Trey, and this is actually our capstone project for the Data Science Fellowship called Kaakibat. This is where we explored how we can support PH MSMEs and social MFIs through something called crowd-funded microfinancing. So our aim was to use techniques in data science to increase the likelihood of successful crowdfunding of Philippine MSME loans on a platform called Kiva. But before we dive into the details, let's first zoom out and see some compelling statistics. So what are MSMEs? MSMEs are actually micro, small, and medium enterprises that make up the backbone of our PH economy. Businesses that fall under this category can range from sari-sari stores all the way up to small businesses. And in the Philippines, 99% of businesses are actually MSMEs, and they contribute significantly to the economy. Their impact is enormous. 36% of gross value added, 25% of all exports, and 63% of total employment. So recognizing their pivotal role, the UN actually highlights them in achieving key sustainable development goals. Pamela Cook Hamilton of the UN even emphasized their role in an inclusive and sustainable future. But despite their significance, they faced a major challenge. That's access to credit. A UN policy brief reveals a critical issue. Around 70% of MSMEs in emerging economies struggle to access credit. Reasons include poor credit history, insufficient collateral, and challenges with high interest rates and shorter terms. So this leads them to turn to personal funds or informal economies, and if they're lucky, then traditional microfinancing. But today, our spotlight is on a contemporary alternative, crowd-funded microfinancing. And you might be wondering, what's the difference between this and traditional microfinancing? So traditional microfinancing is often supported by large banks. It's characterized by inflexible structures and has faced criticism for leaning towards profit-seeking motives. in some instances, even accused of loan sharking practices. Crowdfunded microfinancing, on the other hand, provides flexibility by involving small investors, accelerating the funding process, and addressing a wide range of needs within the MSME sector. So that brings us to Kiva, a crowdfunded microfinancing platform with the motto, make a loan, change a life. And how does it work? So let's say that there's an entrepreneur in the Philippines named Asunta who needs a loan. So she goes to a social MFI that's partnered with Kiva, and then that social MFI will then post the loan on the Kiva website. And now global investors have the chance to generously fund Asunta's interest-free loan. Kiva's success is evident. Since 2006, loans on the platform have steadily increased. However, not all loans get funded. And these expired loans, they aren't just a statistic. They represent businesses that miss crucial funding opportunities. So that's where our problem statement comes in. How can we help PH loans increase their chances of getting successfully funded on Kiva? To answer that big question, we broke it down into three smaller questions or three smaller tasks, actually. So to answer that, we identified that we would need to identify first the key features. So determine the most important features that affect whether a loan gets funded or not. And then select the best prediction model by evaluating model performance based on a metric called recall. And then finally, we would have to deploy a minimum viable product, which will be implemented, which was implemented in a Streamlit app that takes in key features, and then it generates a prediction and gives out recommendations for optimal loan conditions if it's necessary. So taking a step back, looking at the methodology and parang the technical things that we did. So we started off with data gathering, and then problem scoping, and then pre-processing the data. The first three really took up a bunch of our time talaga. Majority of our time was spent on the first three steps. And then we did the modeling na. So our app actually uses two models. So one is a prediction model, which is scored based on recall. Tapos the next model is actually a clustering model that will group the loan, group that specific loan to similar loans, and then try to figure out the features of successfully funded loans that are very similar to that loan that you chose. And then it will push out parang recommendations through the Streamlit app. So that's the entire methodology of the data science project. So just a few parang details on each phase. On phase one data gathering, our source again was scraped from Kiva. It's called Kiva Data Snapshots. And then the original shape of the data set was around 2 million rows across 31 columns. And it contained observations from 99 different countries between the period 2006 until 2020. Then we talk about scope and limitation. So what we did, kinat namin yung dataset kasi hindi na kinaya ng computers namin. So the dataset that we used was actually just between 2014 to 2021, and it only took in Philippine loans lang. For data pre-processing, we used the typical approach. First, we cleaned the data, looking at imputation of nulls. And then we feature engineered some things depending on what we needed for our analysis. And then one of the things that we did was really reduce the dimensionality of our data. Hindi din kinaya ng data set and ng computers namin yung 31 columns. So we used a dimensionality reduction technique here. So here's kind of an overview of the entire modeling pipeline. So we start off with user input. So there are key features, the ones that we identified in our exploratory data analysis. And then those key features will be pushed to a prediction model, which will answer the question, will the loan likely fund or will the loan likely expire? So that prediction model is actually XGBoost, which was further parang enhanced by using an undersampling technique kasi imbalanced yung data namin. Maraming nafa-fund, kaysa sa hindi nafa-fund. So parang there's a very big imbalance in the two data types. So we had to undersample using cluster centroids. So the performance of our model, of the chosen model, is as follows. So we had a training recall of 96, a validation recall of 95, and a holdout recall of 94. I won't like dive into the details of the differences between those three different runs. Now, if you join the fellowship, it will be explained in full to you. So, and we all the one of the questions then was, how did we choose XGBoost as our model, and do we have to code it from scratch? Actually, the code for machine learning is actually just a few lines, parang 5 lines of code. And you call the model, you fit it to your data set, and then you predict, and then you pull out the scores. So hindi siya more on coding, it's more on understanding how the algorithm works and what kind of data will fit into like different models. So for the predict part, we actually ran, I think, 11 different models, and madaming iterations yung 11. So merong baselining lang, and then we added features, we reduced features, parang ganun. So we finally ended up with XGBoost. So once it captures that input, it will then predict. If the prediction is that it will expire, then it will cluster that loan into similar loans na nag-fund based on a similarity score. And then it will push out the top 5 similar loans, so that you can have kind of an idea on how to improve the loan that you have. And then for the loans that do actually fund, we still push out recommendations para lang you can get a feel. Ito pala yung parang similarities of loans of this kind that get funded as well. So that's the modeling pipeline. This is a QR code for an app, but I think it's not like, ano na, it's not live sa Streamlit. So I'm not gonna like, ano na, dive into it. We also used kasi like a ChatGPT token here. Hindi na, nag-expire na yung token, so hindi na siya magagamit. But it looks like this. So our app is called Kaakibat. You input numerical and categorical data, and then you press a button, and then it will show you whether or not, it will predict whether or not the loan will fund or it will expire. And then it will also show you parang a summary. It will show you yung 5 similar loans, and then a summary of the 5 similar loans, so that you can improve the loan that you have and increase the likelihood of it funding. So summary of key insights and improvements on our data. So summary of insights, parang the key features that we noticed, that the loans that are likely to get funded on Kiva have the following features. So one is a loan amount of between $25 to $250, and then a repayment term of 15 months, where the lending partner or the person who is lending the money to the borrower or the social MFI covers the currency loss kasi nga it's in dollars. The loan story, so the loan that's posted on the Kiva website has to have an image for it to fund. And then, but the video portion, hindi siya importante. The monthly repayment interval, the repayment interval of the loan should be monthly, and the sector that gets funded the most is retail, food, and agriculture. So we also found out that our best prediction model was XGBoost, and we had a holdout score of 94, holdout recall score of 94, and then you saw na our minimum viable product. So improvements with artificial intelligence. So one of the parang comments when we did this presentation was that we were kind of missing the parang the quirk of crowdfunded microfinancing. So the foundation for success on Kiva, which is a crowdfunded microfinancing website, actually lies in the loan story and the connection between the lender and the borrower. So we can improve this app better by using AI. So how do we use AI? We use it in the following ways. We use it to have loan image analysis. So in our study, we saw that the presence of an image increases the likelihood of successful crowdfunding. But in another study, we found na yung features ng image can increase din the likelihood of successful funding. So with AI, we can ask questions like, is there a difference between the images of successful and expired PH loans? And then what are these differences, and are they across the board, meaning across all sectors, or iba-iba siya per sector? Another way to use AI is to use it for loan story analysis. So in the Kiva model, again, the lenders are incentivized differently from traditional MFI. So the emphasis here is actually loan stories. So we could use NLP, natural language processing, and large language models to answer questions like, what kind of sentiment do successful loan stories on Kiva have? And are there any keywords associated with these successful loans? Another way to use AI is to improve the matching system between the borrower and the lender. Kasi nga, kapag natatouch si lender ng story, mas likely siya mag-fund. So there should be like a system that will push parang ganito na mga loans to this kind of lender based on their behavior on the site. So that's the matching system with AI. And then finally, which I think is the biggest parang pwedeng gawin ng AI with crowdfunded microfinancing is the alternative credit risk scoring model for microfinance. So what we noticed was Kiva was actually probably the most comprehensive consolidated data set for MSME loans. So if we add other features to it, like payment intervals, geographic details, economic indicators, we could extract a lot of valuable insights from the Kiva data set. So if you combine all of these features, then you could use AI to create or to power an alternative credit risk scoring model specifically for crowdfunded microfinancing. And this data, it extends beyond just crowdfunded microfinancing. It can even be used to potentially shape economic policies. It can contribute to a broader understanding of MSME dynamics and influence strategic decision making at a macroeconomic level. So that's basically the end of our presentation of the council project. If you have any questions, please feel free to raise.
Right. Thank you so much, Dre. And that was a really, a comprehensive presentation. And okay, I know some of you like might not na hindi pa nag-sink in yung some of the presentations, but it's nice to take a look at the two data projects presented to us. So now we're opening the floor for some questions. And okay, Eugene Toribio, let's go.
Hi Andrea, sobrang inspiring ng project nyo, especially yung part na you really didn't forget about the foundation, which is the connection between lender and borrower. So one question, since parang kinoconsider ko din mag-join ng data science fellowship, did the sessions equip you with the framework to approach a data science project, especially yung project scoping? Or was it a process na finigure out nyo lang along the way, tapos parang naging second nature na lang kasi parang ilang sprints na rin yung ginawa nyo? Thank you.
That's a really good question. So just to give some context, I actually come from a non-data background. So license speaking, I'm actually a CPA. And then I quit being a CPA and I switched to financial analytics. That's where I started the analytics thing. So I do have a background now on like how to problem scope, present. Kasi I have experience in financial analytics doing consulting, parang internal consulting projects. So I would say it's a mix. Kasi tinuturo din talaga, parang it's a mix of the three. You can have your own parang background on it. And then during the fellowship, they will really dedicate sessions on how to problem scope, how to choose your data wisely, ganun. Kasi the concept is garbage in, garbage out. Kapag pangit yung data set mo, pangit yung pag-problem scope, hindi din maganda yung output. So that's very much highlighted in the fellowship. And then on the third thing now, does it come naturally with the iterations? Yes, it does. Especially with the pace that you're going, hindi mo kasi nakakalimutan yung last week or yung last 2 weeks parang experience mo, naki-carry over mo agad. So parang nag-build up yung skills. I hope that answered your question.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you so much, Eugene. Share ko lang, I mean, totally unrelated, but I know Eugene back in university. Okay. Also, siguro parang related to what I asked in the previous presenter. So, Andrea, like, for example, now that you've finished with this project, diba? And then, for example, you want to build your portfolio, or you have your own, let's say, your own passion project. So how are you going to do that now? Para like if you're gonna start from zero ulit, at least guide us through your process.
So I would definitely still do parang the same process that I showed earlier. I would like kind of do the decision tree. I would ask myself muna, okay, so what am I interested about? And is that something that I'm interested about kaya ko bang mag-source ng data for that? Kasi like there's so many fun projects with data science. I recently heard about a project that tried to classify dogs' barks, like a machine learning project that was trying to classify kung ganito bang breed, ito yung bark, and what's the meaning of this bark? Is it a happy bark? Is it a sad bark? So there's a lot of fun that you can do with data science. So I would start with that talaga, and then source the data set and ask myself, am I willing to record like 1,000 different barks? Or do I just want to go the easy way and find like a ready-made na data set and then problem scope na from there. Think of it as like a research project, let's funnel it down, break it into parang sizable bites and pieces that I can sustainably do over like a period of time.
Okay, and what would your advice be for someone na, let's say, they've learned about the tools already, pero it's about starting their very first project na hindi pa nila magawa. So, parang what could you advise on that?
Also, my biggest advice would be just do it. Like literally, like follow the Nike motto of just do it. Kasi you don't learn by thinking about it in your head, like theoretically. Iniisip mo lang siya palagi. You don't learn anything new. Data science, data analytics, it's an iterative process. So paulit-ulit mong tinatanong yung sarili mo, is this still the problem that I want to solve? Is this still like the questions that I want to answer? So you can't do that process if you don't start the project. So just start. Especially if you already have the technical skills to do it.
All right. Thank you so much, Andrea. And I think to add up to that, when you want to solve a problem, then siguro you should also have a focus. Like you cannot solve all problems at once, right? So you need to have a direction on the project that you're going to make. Okay. And okay, Gabrielle Masangkay.
Hello, hello, Andrea.
Hi.
I'd like to ask a question. So I assume you're working, and I'm curious, what did your schedule look like? So after work, you proceed with your class, and then did you work extensively during the weekends? What's your what did your schedule look like?
So full disclosure for me, when I decided to make this career pivot, I decided that I would dedicate like time to it talaga. So I actually resigned from my previous financial analytics job and then focused solely on the data science thing. Kasi I had to learn everything from scratch. I didn't know how to code Python before this. I think my strength was more on the data storytelling, but all of the technical skills of like understanding the basic algorithms, ganun, all of the Python that I had to learn it from scratch. So I decided na we dedicate this much time to it. So what I did was parang medyo may leeway kasi ako. I understand your concern kasi it is kind of like fast paced and it's a lot of data bombarded to you on a daily basis. Like if after work siya gagawin yan. Pero marami akong classmates who managed it naman. I think as long as you have a running understanding of like the basic Python, hindi ka kagaya, hindi like me na I had to start from zero talaga, then it's manageable. What I did was just after every learning session, I tried to recreate the code. Try lang ha, hindi siya successful all the time. I recreated the code and then I tried to like pinpoint ano ba talaga yung nalaman ko. Like what did I learn from these learning sessions? And then I reviewed it on the weekend and then I tried to apply it to the next sprint. The good thing lang with the sprint is that you continuously apply. So kahit hindi ka masyado nagka-catch up, parang you will catch up eventually.
All right. Thank you so much for that, Andrea. And I hope that answers your question, Gabriel. Okay. So for the interest of time, I will entertain two more questions. So first, let's have Clifton.
Hi, Andrea. I actually really love your project. I think I've seen it nung AAP event pa, and I
Oh,
was
yeah.
really amazed by what you guys have accomplished. So in the data science bootcamp, there are four of you. I'm just interested on how you guys were managed to delegate your tasks on this project.
So sa capstone project kasi, this is our capstone project, you get to choose who the members of your team are. So we kind of strategized in a way na I was the one who was heavy on storytelling, and then we had one who was heavy on the engineering, the data engineering side. One was heavy on the data analytics and the data science side, and then one was also, I think, heavy on data engineering. One was doing the Streamlit app. So para we strategize it in a way na the project would flow pretty well kasi we had different strengths. So choose your team members wisely. Yan yung advice.
Did you guys also work a lot outside of bootcamp hours? No.
Yeah, me personally, I did a lot of work outside of bootcamp hours. But for the people that had full-time jobs, I think hindi masyado. As long as nga, you have kind of like a running background of all of the technical things that we need to know, I don't think you have to worry about it too much.
All right. Thank you, Andrea.
Thanks. I hope I answered the question.
Okay. All right. And down to our last question. Let's have Bianca.
Hello, Drea. Awesome project.
Thank-
Question ko is, if someone with zero background sa data science, which among all of the topics that you've covered sa presentation would be yung priority and learning?
I would say you kind of have to assess yourself muna. If you're not good pa with the technical stuff like Python and like the understanding the math behind the machine learning or kahit yung basic algorithm, then you have to focus on that. Kasi yung data storytelling for me, it comes naturally as you go through the sprints. So assess yourself muna. I think the biggest struggle lang talaga is keeping up with all of the parang technical stuff. If you have a background in analytics, I think the data science fellowship will flow smoothly now for you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, everyone. And thank you so much, Dre, for sharing with us your data science project. And I hope that, gave some sense of direction to our audience here. And as we are nearing the end of our event, so I would just like to talk briefly about the programs mentioned. So this is just a very, very quick segue lang. So in line with Dre's presentation earlier, so she attended the Data Science Fellowship. And if you're interested in learning more about our program, so this is just the schedule. It will run from Monday to Saturday. So from Monday to Friday, it's going to be from 6 to 9. And then the weekend session is from, I think it's from 1 to 5 p.m. every Saturdays. And on to the right, that is the overview of what's going to be covered in the Data Science Fellowship. And if you want to take our assessment, so this one's entirely free. Like if you want to know where your skills lie, you can take this assessment. So basically, it's just a roster of questions. And if you want to test out, oh, where do I stand based on my understanding sa mga, mga technical skills already. So you can take this assessment. And if you are leaning towards data analytics naman, then we have our data analytics bootcamp, which runs for 9 weeks, and it has a relatively, a manageable schedule. So sessions are from Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 6 to 9 p.m. And the same tools discussed earlier, used by the first group. So we have Power BI, SQL, and Looker Studio, and also ChatGPT. And these are just an overview of the topics that will be covered. So if you want to learn more about our data analytics bootcamp, please scan this QR code as well. And yeah, this is just the happy faces of our alumni. And definitely, all yung mga presenters, maybe you could also reach out to them on LinkedIn if there are some questions na cannot be covered in this event. So you could reach out to them. Okay, and another thing, of course, we love setting up, these events for you. So definitely there will be more, but at the same time, in order for us to improve, we just want to launch this quick Zoom poll. So I hope you'll be, very honest with your feedback for us. It's a very quick, feedback poll. Basically, there are 5 questions, and then 3 of them are multiple choice, then 2 of them are more qualitative lang. So we would like to hear from you on how we can further improve events like this, or maybe you have ideas already on what kind of event you'd like to see in the future. So definitely we are open to these kinds of suggestions from the audience. Yeah. So we hope you could, take the time to accomplish this feedback poll. Okay. Ayan. So answer it, as honestly as you can. And definitely we'll see more of you in in our sessions. Okay. So go lang, take the time lang. And then another thing, I guess this is kinda optional lang naman. But if you'd like, let's have a quick photo op. So discuss ko lang. By turning on your cameras, you also consent that we can share the photo on our social media channels. So don't worry, we won't use it for any other purpose. It's just gonna be shared on the Escolabs Facebook page, which by the way, I want to invite you guys to like our Facebook page, follow us there, and follow us on LinkedIn and Instagram. So all of our social media channels. Okay. So yeah, I hope we can get everyone to turn on their cams so that we can just document this important moment. Okay. Okay, some of them super familiar na. I think Hezekiah was there during the data visualization workshop. Am I right? Okay. Sige. Yes, yes, I remember you. All right. Okay. So may hahabol pa ba sa turn on ng cams? Yes, yes, yes. Okay, so I suppose that's it. All right, everyone. 1, 2, 3, and smile. Okay, let's do a waki pose. So give us your best waki. Okay. Don't worry, this won't be posted. Yung lang, yung formal lang. Okay. 1, 2, 3, and waki. Yeah. Cute. Okay, thank you so much, everyone. And again, I would just like to remind you to please answer the poll kasi your feedback will be, really important for us in improving our future events. Okay, so I suppose that's all lang naman. Thank you so much. And if you have any questions or if there's anything that we can help you with, please email us at admissions@eskwelabs.com. And here are just some few reminders. So April 30 is going to be the last day of interviews for the Data Science Fellowship. So for those of you na interested in joining this upcoming cohort, April 30 yung last day natin ng interviews. And then May 13 yung start ng classes for the Data Science Fellowship Cohort 13. And so thank you so much, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this very intimate gathering that we had. And kindly unmute yourselves na lang just so we could say goodbye to each other. And thank you so much, everyone, and have a great evening. Bye!
Thank you so much, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.